A groom gets drunk at his wedding reception and wakes up with a hangover. He says to his best man, "What happened last night? You broke my freaking jaw, bro." So two were in the pink. Is the one in the stink okay? The number of upvote tells what the best man should do. You joke about this, but according to my boss this happened to his godson. His best man was fingering the bride. Wow, cray. Cray. During your toughest moments, which saying or phrase has kept you going? Okay, this is going to sound stupid, but honey badger don't care. Honey badger don't give a shit. The only way out is through. If you're going through hell, keep going. I think often of the phrase "in the midst of winter, I found there was, within me, an invincible summer." By Albert Camus. Even when life sucked, I realized there was a part of me that still wanted to keep going. If you can't beat fear, just do it scared. I used to miss out on many opportunities because of my anxiety. Repeating this to myself helps me tackle it. Now I just wobble through awkwardly while getting things done. It's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. This too shall pass. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Days are long but the years are short. Smooth seas never made a skilled sailor. If I have twin daughter, I'll name one. I don't copy. I have two sons, Pete and Repeat. I would name them Kate and Replicate. I have two stepsons, Joe and Joe Mama. I have boy twins 1 and 2. My friend is a drummer with twin, named them Anna 1 and a 2. My sister had twins, a boy and a girl, and I got to name them Denise and D. Nephew 1, John. The other spare parts, my 2. What did the drummer bane his twin 1 and a 2? If they're boys, I suggest Peter and Repeater. I have twin boys, Tyrone and Tyclone. Unicate and duplicate for fair decision. Boys will of course be called Pete and Repeat. Just don't let them near any bridges unsupervised. Cool face. Financial liability. I am a drummer, so I'ma name my twins, and 1 and 2. Copygate. In Soviet Russia, an American spy tries to blend in. Vladimir Putin recently announced plans to build a Russian military base. On the plan is for the astronauts to live there permanently in service of the selection process. The applicants were asked, "Are you sure you want to spend the rest of your life in a barren, lifeless, empty wasteland?" Astronauts said, "No, that's why we want to go to the moon." Did not see that punchline coming at all. Dark humor on its best. Heard that first in the 1980s. True story. Someone I know was a South African police officer. He and several South African police colleagues were invited to attend an international police training event at a Russian academy. At the Moscow airport, he was detained on suspicion of being a spy. The Russian border guards did not believe that a white man could be an African. My daughter broke up with this amazing guy because he lost the top half of his foot in a tragic accident. This joke doesn't quite nail it. I give it a 5 out of 10. I would totally support her career as a comedian. I was going to laugh at this, but I had to put my foot down. There's really no future if she doesn't want stepchildren. He only had a foot and a half. He just kept dragging her around in circles. This is a gem, you sir. Count as the father of 11 children. Wouldn't the top half of your foot be the bit that connects to your ankle? Hey, I resemble that remark. This joke was totally missing a punchline. She'll go far. He was a real heel. I'm gonna be single forever. Not really a dad joke. But yesterday my co-worker noticed that the clock on the wall had stopped and asked when did that happen? Incidentally, my favorite time of day is 6:30, hands down. I was amused. AM or PM? You can let that uptight stodge know that all of us here in our dad jokes found it quite amusing. I chuckled twice. I liked this. Thumbs up. Looks like you're not gonna be clocking in at your job from now. It will show very accurate time, twice a day. Is anyone really amused by dad jokes? If they don't get an eye roll, you're not doing it right. Lol. It has dad joke energy for sure. Has he no sense of humor? I like this. Lol. Is it even a joke? Did the coworker expect the clock to slowly inch its way to a stop, trying everything it could to avoid giving up the ghost? I may be 5 hours behind, but there's no way I'm giving up. Still the right time twice a day. That would definitely be a dad joke in my book. Robert Downey Jr. might be the last mainstream actor in history to get away with blackface. Is it really blackface if you're poking fun at the idea of a white guy playing a black guy? The face is blacked up, but the role seemed different in a little way. He got away with it because black audiences are smart enough to realize the joke was on the character and not on him. It's a big difference. Did Always Sunny do it first? I thought they did it more recently. Downey Jr. made a stance against an outdated practice in the most satirical way. Props to him for being bold and using his platform to challenge the norms. A few people have commented this already, but it bears repeating. RDJ didn't do blackface, the character he was playing did. It's a small detail but pretty important. He wasn't playing a black man. He was playing a white man that was playing a black man. His character used blackface. Till Soviet cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov was the first man to die during a spaceflight. He volunteered to pilot a hastily built and fatally flawed spacecraft alone in order to save the life of the man who would replace him if he refused his close friend and first man in space, Yuri Gagarin. That is quite depressing. His body turned molten on car wrist. Isn't there a recording of him cursing them out too? Or was that only rumor? I can see why Komarov features as a mysterious main character in the French sci-fi series Missions. The makers clearly felt his real-life story ended unfairly and way too soon. I would watch the fuck out of this drama. Oh cool, I get to post my favorite bad space comic. Would love to see a limited series based on this, in the same vein as HBO's Chernobyl. These stories always make sad because it's a story as old as time. The rich and powerful, sacrificing the young and brave to meet their goals. Till Timothy Oliphant is a direct descendant of Cornelius Vanderbilt, a business magnate in the 1800s credited as being one of the wealthiest Americans to ever live. So how it works is Timothy is a great X3 grandson of William Henry, the eldest child of Cornelius Vanderbilt. William Henry's son Cornelius II is Anderson Cooper's great-grandfather. X200b. Edited makes more sense to say both are descended from William Anderson through his firstborn, Cornelius II, Timothy through his fifth child, Emily. I really enjoy him. Can we get some rail and appreciation here? Every time I see this man I am reminded of how unreasonably attractive he is. Like WTF. Isn't Anderson Cooper a Vanderbilt? Fact about Timothy Oliphant is he and Conan O'Brien are very close friends. Go on vacations with their families together. I always got Timothy Oliphant confused with Josh Duhamel. Still of Dennis Fitch, a pilot who studied the crash of Japan Flight 123 to see if he could have flown the doomed aircraft. Years later, Fitch was a passenger on a plane that also lost hydraulic power. Fitch offered to assist the pilots who miraculously managed to crash land, saving 100 passengers. Despite the fatalities, the accident is considered a good example of successful crew resource management. A majority of those aboard survived. Experienced test pilots in simulators were unable to reproduce a survivable landing. It has been termed the impossible landing as it is considered one of the most impressive landings ever performed in the history of aviation. Very cool. Still that Ben Jerry's had to apologize after inadvertently naming an ice cream flavor after a brutal paramilitary group. Khmer Rouge berry and Boko Haram raisin were fucking delicious though. Black and tan. I hadn't heard of this before. What I thought was hilarious was when BJ made a Twitter post about stolen land being returned and a native tribe called them on it as the BJ office was on stolen land. They didn't name it after the paramilitary group, they just coincidentally gave it the same name. Augusto Pinochet Pistachio. Cara Delevingne's granddad was the leader of the group, and now the song is stuck in my head. Out ye black and out and fight me like your wives how you won medals down in Flanders. I'm Irish and you'll see this happen once every few years with a new product that used the term black and tan. You think at some point these billion-dollar companies would do a quick Google search of something they're looking to name a new product after. Till that Queen Anne of Great Britain had 7 miscarriages, 5 stillbirths, 2 children who died shortly after birth, 2 who died in infancy, and 1 who died at age 11. She left no heirs and was succeeded by her second cousin. 17 pregnancies and 10 births. Poor thing. How devastating it must have been for her. Poor woman. There's an amazing depiction of her by Olivia Colman in the film The Favorite. Her lost children are memorialized in it as 17 white bunnies. Yay, that's brutal, but not actually that uncommon for the time. In the ages before modern medicine 1 in 2 children died before the age of 15. We really don't give modern science and medicine enough respect. Still that farm-raised salmon are not naturally salmon-colored. They are gray and are given astaxanthin to make their flesh closer to the color of wild salmon and appetizing to the consumer. I mean, if you take out the pigment from wild salmon diet they are gray too. I wonder how many people are drinking something with yellow dye 5 or red dye 3 and high fructose corn syrup right now. Or drinking a nice glass of milk with vitamin D added, while outraged that salmon farms give a necessary nutrient to the fish that also changes their color. Oh no, it's unnatural, they'll cry while sitting under artificial light on the internet. It says that right on the display cases at the grocery stores. There's literally a color palette that you can choose from as a salmon farm owner. My friend works for a company that produces this. Till the film Oppenheimer became the highest grossing biopic ever in Sept 2023 when it surpassed the Freddie Mercury biopic Bohemian Rhapsody's $910 million total. Rami Malek was in both. Lol. Edit. Highest grossing biopics ever. Point 1. $952 million Oppenheimer. 2. $910 million Bohemian Rhapsody. 3. $547 million American Sniper. 4. $484 million The King's Speech. 5. $435 million The Greatest Showman. 6. $406 million The Wolf of Wall Street. Unfortunately, Bohemian Rhapsody was more of a Queen biopic and not a Freddie biopic like everyone had hoped. The Incredibles named Dash before he got the power of speed. The real question is, did the names they gave their children result in their children's powers? Dash is fast, Violet turns invisible on ultraviolet light being outside the visible light spectrum, and Jack can do everything, jack of all trades. And they named Jack Jack before they knew he would be a jack of all trades with so many different powers. And they named Violet before she became a shrinking Violet who would hide behind her long hair, make a force field around herself, or become invisible when she felt shy. He probably zoomed out of her cooch at birth. Isn't his first name Dashiell? Possibly after Dashiell Hammett? Nominative determinism in action. Named after her mom's position when they made him. I think this kind of fits the lore. In their universe, superhumans get all powers, then it narrows down based on their if you named your son Johnny Big Dong. What are some unwritten social rules everybody should know? When someone tells you, "It's getting late, I'm getting tired," or "I have a lot on at work tomorrow," when you're over at their place, it's time for you to go. Do not stand still right at the entrance or exit of a door. Let people pass. Don't abandon your friend at a party where they hardly know. Abandon your friend when out in public and they're intoxicated. Don't criticize someone's smile or laugh. It will make them feel self-conscious every time they're happy. You let the people stepping out of the vehicle get out first before you try to get in. Don't play music out loud on your phone in public. Respect others' personal space and privacy. Clean up after yourself and your pets. What did we not learn from the COVID pandemic that we really should have? People should not be forced to go to work sick. Stop coming to work, going to school, bringing your kid to daycare sick. Perfect attendance is a crock of shit. That wearing the same pair of gloves all day and touching everything does not prevent cross-contamination. Work-life balance. Pollution can be reversed. Humans quickly turn irrational and unreasonable at any cost, at every level, and very quickly. Putting a sign out front that says "Heroes work here" doesn't change staff morale. Healthcare workers are stressed, overworked, and underpaid. That we should not politicize disease, virus, pandemic. That toilet paper is not able to be traded for gold. The world can change overnight. To cover your mouth when you cough. I've had people tell me I should take off my mask when I cough so I don't get even more sick, which makes no sense. What is your horror story from DNA tests like 23andMe? My grandfather did not die when my dad was 4 like we always thought. Instead, he faked his death. Walked 1,500 kilometers to the other end of the country, married a 16-year-old girl and had 7 more children. All the while leaving my grandmother to bring up the 6 children he had with her and his 2 children from an earlier marriage. Worst part was that he used the same names for the second batch of kids as his first lot. Not me, but my coworker found out his bio dad was not who he thought he was. Turns out he is one of the many children of fertility Dr. Donald Klein. There's a Netflix doc about him if you've never heard about him. What's a fact that could save your life? If you can't find your kid in your house, don't search common places they would be. Search the most deadly places: pools, freezes, washing machines and dryers. Seconds count, and if they are hiding under the table for an extra minute, who cares? Carbon monoxide is odorless. Get a detector. If you fall through the ice, the dark spot is the way out. Choking is silent. If they're coughing, they're not actually choking. If someone goes silent and starts pointing to their neck, start the Heimlich maneuver. Signs of a stroke: drooping, arm weakness, speech slurred. Time to go to the hospital. Speed of response makes the difference between sometimes walks a little funny, one tired and bedbound lung. If you know old people, you need to know how to spot a stroke. What's the dumbest thing someone's ever said to you with complete seriousness? An old ex, when I confronted him about his clashing outfit, told me he doesn't know because he isn't a fascist. I asked him what he meant, and he said, "You know, someone who is into fashion." My dad couldn't stand him and thought this was the funniest joke ever. I asked someone how tall he was. He said, 5 foot 12 inches. I chuckled, but he didn't mean it as a joke. My aunt, who was pushing 40, wondered if she needed to worry about prostate cancer, since her grandfather had is the same aunt who insisted that the Dutch are from Denmark. When I told her the Dutch come from the Netherlands, she was like, "No, sweetie. Those are Neanderthals." My elderly mother told me that 90 of Wisconsin is covered by cement. Which athlete has faced the most pressure in history? Uday Hussein would imprison and torture players if they failed to perform in international football, so probably them. Only 3 players ever stepped up for a penalty under him due to pure fear. Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympics. French-Canadian athletes who are traded to the Montreal Canadiens in the NHL. Those Aztecs that played a rubber ball game and would be killed if they lost. Shout out to Carrie Strug for performing her final vault in the '96 Olympics on a badly injured ankle. Her score guaranteed the US team gold medal. Kathy Freeman would be a good shout. Was the face of the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games, lit the Olympic flame and everything, and as favorite was under immense pressure to get the gold medal. Was also the first Aboriginal athlete to represent Australia at an Olympics. Probably athletes from countries like North Korea. Jim Thorpe,